Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Stephen Carlson. This is the Sedona Method Goals Workshop. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and start this with a nice group release on the topic of goals, how we feel about goals. So let's get started. Just take a moment, take a breath, and allow yourself to be and be. And then check inside and notice what comes up when you think about the topic of goals. The goals that you have now, goals that you've worked with in the past, and possibly the future consequences of your goals, whether you get them or not. Just notice all that gets stirred up when you think about goals. And then check and see if you'd want that to be different, if you want to change that, if you can sense a desire to control that. And just notice what came up. And just for now, could you allow that since that's here? Just give it permission. And then check inside and see if this feels personal about you and who you are. Because why wouldn't it? And so just notice that feeling, how it feels when you believe that this is intensely personal about you. Just notice that feeling and allow that. And then, just as best you can, could you let that go? Would you let that go? When? Now I'd like for you to go back in memory and think about your experiences with goals. And they can be the painful experiences, or they can be also the little victories, doesn't matter. Just allow yourself to notice what comes up when you think about the memories, think about the experiences of the past regarding goals. And just notice what comes up. Notice images and sounds, thoughts, feelings, perceptions in the body, even stories, beliefs. Just give it permission to be here. It's here anyway, just as best you can. And then check for any wanting to control this, any desire for it to be different, to make it change. And it's enough just to notice that and allow that just as best you can. And then check to see if any of this feels personal. Hint, why wouldn't it? These are your goals, right? So just allow that feeling that comes up when you think about this as personal. Just notice how that feels. And then, just as best you can, could you let that go? Would you let that go? When? And then check and see what comes up when you think about your future in regards to goals. The goals you're working on now, your hopes, your dreams. Notice what comes up. Notice any predictions, perhaps, or any stories, any fears, apprehensions, holdbacks. Notice what comes up when you think about the future and goals. And since that's here, just for now, could you give all that permission to be like that? Just for now. And then check and see if it just might feel personal about you and who you are. And welcome that feeling. Welcome what came up. Allow that just as best you can. And then when you're ready, could you let that go? Would you let that go? And when? So now I invite you just to surrender the whole topic to beingness, to the power that knows the way, and just allow all to be as it is. Good. That feels like a good start. Okay, then. So then, welcome everybody. I'd like to say a few words about this process, what we're going to do today. I do notice a couple unfamiliar names, and that's wonderful. Glad to meet you. Glad to see you. If you're not yet aware, we run a whole set of WhatsApp forums called the Releasing Community, and there's a group which is dedicated to goals. And if you're not aware of that, I'll include a link to that group in the Facebook post. Hello, English. Yeah, I posted about this in Facebook, and I will add the link to the goals group so that those of you who are not familiar can find your way there. What we are doing is every week on Saturdays, people can submit their goal statements. And we allow this throughout the day until 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, we collect all of the goal statements. We, meaning me, at this point anyway. And we pin them to the top of the group. And then each and every one of us in the group then, every day, we open that list and just go down the list, taking maybe 10 seconds with each goal just to visualize the success for everybody else. And I find this a really interesting exercise. This wasn't my idea. This came from Corey Thatcher, thanks to him. And what's interesting is we notice that pretty much all of us want similar things. Surprise, surprise. And there's also a sense of generosity and giving about that, wishing the success of others. And by the way, that actually is kind of why I do what I do. One thing that Lester Levinson said is the fastest path to freedom is to help others. So that little exercise of just looking down the list of goals and taking 10 seconds with each goal, just to wish success, to visualize success for each one in turn. It's a lovely exercise, and I'd recommend that to all of you. And as a result of that, I know that a lot of us, and I do see a lot of us from the group, we already have our goal statements. So the goals process really has to do with coming up with a goal statement and then releasing on that statement and then coming up with action steps and putting those into action. So there is in this community a little misunderstanding around action versus inaction. Sometimes people think that they can just sit on their rear ends and do nothing. And actually that does work sometimes. And Lester, who was a bit of a rascal, actually came up with what he called the butts method. But in my experience and that of others, it's actually quite useful to get into action. And so what I'd like to do with this call is see if we can devote some time to action steps. So I'm going to see if we can manage the time. But for right now, I'd like to invite anybody who still isn't clear on what their goal is or still wants to work on a goal statement to raise their hand, and we'll see if we can help you out a little bit. Oh, and by the way, also, one thing that you'll find in the goals group in WhatsApp is a cheat sheet, which I put together to help you with formulating the goal statements. And also, it contains the process itself, so how to release on the action step, on the goal statements, and how to create action steps. This is, of course, condensed from the Sedona Method book and also the 4-in-1 Super course. So if you don't have those, I'd really recommend that you study those first. But if you're in need, then there's a cheat sheet available. And so with that, I'm going to ask Indrani to unmute and let's see what you have to say. Hello, Indrani. How are you?
Stephen, I couldn't find on WhatsApp the pinned messages.
Oh, very simple. I don't know how I could make it more simple, but you should be able to look at the top of the screen for the words, please read in capital letters.
I did. And what I found was not the goals from others, but the document that you have put out, goals process. Let me find it here.
Well, no, yeah. If you scroll, you may need to scroll down. It's a rather large post, and you may have to click read further. I don't know if I can read that from your screen, Indrani, and I'm not so sure.
Okay, dear. Okay, when I'm right at the top and I click on goals thing, please click to read and then see. And when I click on it, it's all about when the calls are and
if you scroll further down,
yeah,
the list of goals should begin.
Share your success in our games group, chat
Continue
WhatsApp.
down, continue further down.
Then it is, you may share this group with other releases.
Further
Chat
down.
WhatsApp. No, then I can't go any more further, dear. That's what I'm trying to say. You must check.
I'll tell you what, Indrani, I'll help
Yes.
you one-on-one after the call. How's that sound?
Pardon?
I would be glad to help you one-on-one after the call. Would that be okay?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure
That's
enough.
all. I know
No
how
worries.
to make a goal statement because I read everything. I read your statement, your guidelines for writing the goal because I downloaded that and I read through it and I can manage that. But I just couldn't find the goals of the others where I have to, be generous and wish them well. And I would like to have
We'll
that.
communicate, you and I, after this call. Okay?
Right, oh dear. Thanks, thanks.
Good,
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, I see we have Anne. I'll ask you to unmute.
Hi. Actually, I just want to confirm with Indrani that I couldn't find how to set up the goal.
Okay. All right. I'm laughing because I deal with this all day long. Yes.
Oh.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I could like to know the process of setting up the goal statement.
I didn't understand what you just said. Could you repeat that, please?
I said that I could like to have some help with how to set up a goal statement.
Okay. Well,
the process, so that you have the process, right?
Yes. Yes. So let's start with, well, what would be your goal? Can you to me in words?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's rather loud in the background. Is that you?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So the goal, I could like to have the goal that I'm making about $10,000 a month with my business.
Okay. Well, let me suggest a goal for you then.
Okay.
A goal statement. A typical one would be, I allow myself to enjoy an income of $10,000 or more. And let me explain a little, okay?
Yep.
So I allow myself is the language of courage. And I use the word enjoy because, of course, who wouldn't want to enjoy? It's a positive feeling, and that's the kind of feeling that we want to attach to this goal. I allow myself to enjoy an income of $10,000 or more. Now, notice I said income. I'm not going to be specific about it has to come from this place or that place, this person pay me or that business, because who cares? Do you care? Or do you want the money? Yeah, I thought,
just want the money.
yeah, give me the money, of course.
Yeah.
So I allow myself to enjoy an income, just general, or even to enjoy receiving. That's another way of putting it. $10,000 or more. Would you be happy with 20?
Yes.
I'm not surprised at all. So again, no need to limit ourselves. We can add or more. So again, all of this is explained in the 4-in-1 Super Course. It's also explained in, no, I don't have it. I do. I don't know. You must have seen this book around somewhere. This one.
Yes, I have.
And you'll find it cheap.
Yeah, it is go in the effortless goal course.
Could you repeat that?
It is processed in the effortless goal course, the one that recently that have just sent out an email to. But called
I see. He's promoting effortless abundance.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that course will contain. It is possible he will also talk about the goals process, but that's Hale, and I can't make promises for Hale. So I do know that it will be a good course, however. So if you're thinking about that, I would encourage it. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me just check and see, does anybody else have, we need to work with a goal statement, or do we all have goal statements? Ooh, okay. So let's spend a few minutes releasing on goals, and then we'll move to action steps. By the way, every time we've done this workshop before, we've spent most of the workshop with goal statements. And so I'm very happy that we have the opportunity to work on action steps. So let's start by releasing on our goal statements. And so when you're ready, allow everything to come to a stop and just allow yourself to be. And allow all to be as it is, just for now. And then think about your goal statement. You can read it out loud if that's useful. You can read it on paper. You can say it to yourself in your mind, whatever works for you. And then notice what feelings were stirred up. Notice any images, sounds, feelings in the body, maybe stories, beliefs. Notice all that was stirred up. And since that's here, could you give it permission to be like that for just a moment longer? Would you allow it? And then notice any wanting, control, approval, security, separation, or oneness. Just check for, you can choose one or more as it feels appropriate. And when you're ready, could you let that go? Would you let that go? When? Okay, let's go back. Think about your goal statement, read it out loud, or read it on paper, however you like. Take a moment. And when you're ready, notice any feelings that got stirred up. And check especially for any feeling of no, any holdback. Could that be welcome? Could that be allowed? Is that what is apparently happening? And then check for any feeling that this is personal. Most likely it does feel personal, and that's fine. Just allow that feeling and notice it just as best you can. Give it permission. And then, could you let this go? Would you let this go? When? Let's do this one more time. Think about your goal. Read your goal statement out loud or just to yourself, however feels appropriate. Take a moment now and do that. Good. Check and see what feelings were stirred up inside. And notice any wanting to change this, any resistance. And whatever came up, could that be allowed? Is that welcome? Is that what is apparently happening? And check for any feeling that this is personal about you and who you are. Is this welcome? Is this allowed? Is this what is apparently happening? And then when you're ready, could you let this go? Would you let this go? And when? And then finally, could you welcome freedom, openness, boundlessness, love? And then, could you surrender this goal to freedom, love, boundlessness, and allow the power that knows the way take care of it for you? Good. Seems like a good place to stop. So let me check the time and see. Looking good. So action steps. There's a very simple formula for coming up with action steps, and that's this. Think of the simplest or the most outrageous action that you could take towards your goal. The simple action, of course, is obvious. Sometimes there are steps that you can already see, that you already know. And sometimes those are the best places to start. But the outrageous is also interesting. So often there are possibilities that we're really not quite ready to consider. But if you're open to it, if you're really ready to stretch, the outrageous action steps can really be fun. Why not give that person a call? Who knows if they're going to pick up the phone, but what do you have to lose, right? So sometimes it's really useful to work with the most outrageous action step that you can and see what happens. But in order to do all of this, of course, once we come up with action steps, we release on them. So I'm going to lead you through a process which Hale has offered us. It's designed to help us come up with action steps. So I'll do that, and then we can do a little question and answer and see what happens from that. So when you're ready, allow yourself to be, allow all to be as it is. And then think about your goal. Read the statement out loud. Read it in your head, however feels appropriate to you. And then, when you're ready, think about what could be a simple or outrageous action step and just notice what comes up. And it doesn't have to be the perfect one. Just notice whatever came up and choose that. We'll play with it and see what happens. Can you welcome any response to that action step, anything that comes up? And check for any wanting of control, approval, security, separation, or oneness. And just go ahead and pick one if you're not sure. Multiple choice is also possible. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be correct. You'll choose the right one. And then when you're ready, could you let that go? Would you let that go? And when? Good. Check for any sense that this is personal, about you, who you are, the story of me. And whatever came up, could you let that go? Would you let that go? When? Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. So just again, think of your goal statement. Read it out loud. Read it to yourself, however feels proper. And then ask yourself, what would be the simplest or most outrageous action step? Could be the same, could be a different step. Whatever comes up, doesn't have to be the right one. Just choose that. And then notice whatever response comes. Notice what came up with that action step. Notice images and sounds, sensations in the body, thoughts, stories, beliefs, anything. And then check for any resistance, any wanting for it to be different, any hold back. And then check and see if this just might feel personal. Your goals, your actions, all about you. Just notice that. Why wouldn't it feel that way? Right? And then when you're ready, could you let that go? Would you? And when? Well, let's leave it at that for now, and I'll invite you to put your hands up if you'd like to talk. Well, questions, sharing, or requests for support on anything, actually. It can be your action steps. It could be even the goal statements, although I hope Rebecca, we're finished with that. I'd be curious to know what came up for you about this. Oh, I see we haven't met before. Mauricio, am I right? You can unmute, please.
Hello, Steven. How are you?
Very good. Glad to meet you. And your name is, do I say Mauricio?
Yeah,
oh,
that's
good.
my name. Yeah, I just would like to ask something about when we come to identify the wantings that are underneath what we feel.
Yes.
On the goals that we set. So, I think that I'm overthinking about that. So I just would like to feel more confident when I need to identify the underneath one thing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, let's just do a little bit of one-on-one releasing, shall we?
What? Excuse me?
I said, let's do some one-on-one releasing, you and I, and then the rest of the group can follow along. How does that sound to you?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So just notice what you just told me, this great desire that you have to be right about choosing the wanting. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Notice how it feels.
Uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. So since it feels that way anyway, could you give it permission for a moment?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And let me ask you, is this happening in the body or is this more in the head? How do you perceive this?
Yeah, I will say that I feel that in the stomach, mostly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. So could you turn your attention towards what's happening in the body, in the stomach?
Yeah.
And are you open to an experiment with me?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. What if that feeling in the stomach didn't mean anything? What if it had no name or description or meaning? Would you be open to that possibility?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I will.
Wonderful. Okay. And again, focusing on what's happening in the body there, in the stomach, are you willing to give that permission to do what it needs to do, what it wants to do? Could
Yes.
you? Uh-huh. And would you?
Yes.
And when?
Now.
Okay. Let me just check with you. Is it the same as when we started, or is it possible that it's shifting?
I think that it's possible that it's shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. So notice what's still left and welcome it as best you can.
Okay.
And notice that, well, I can ask you a question like this. Does it feel good or does it feel bad?
Oh, well, it feels bad, honestly.
Well, what if this were just an intensity of sensation and you've decided to call it bad? Could you just play with it for a moment and imagine that it's actually a good sensation? I know that's stretching it a bit, but could you try that and see what happens? Would you be willing to welcome it as a good feeling and see what happens?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Good. And would you give it permission to be like that even just a little bit longer?
No.
Excellent. Good. I always like the nose, I just have to tell you. So, how does this feel now? Let me just check with you.
Yeah, I would say that now it feels less important.
Nice.
Yeah.
So just notice what's left and just welcome it even a little further if you can.
Okay.
And let's just see. Could you let that go?
No.
Perfect. Would you like to hold on to it?
Yes.
Well, then please, by all means, hold on to it as tightly as you possibly can.
Yes.
Yeah. And how does that feel?
Yeah, I would say that it feels good.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, how do you feel now about choosing a want? Oh, actually, let's do this. Let's actually do it. So notice whatever feeling there is in the body.
Yeah.
Okay. And then check. Does that come from a wanting of approval, control, separation, security, and oneness? Or oneness, excuse me. And
Now,
notice the feeling that came up from that question. How did you feel about your answer? Does it still feel sticky?
yeah, I would say that I feel it like wanting safety and security.
Great. Just as best you can, could you let those go?
No.
Perfect. Can you hang on just as long as you want to those?
Yes.
Good. And let's see, what would be the opposite of what you're feeling right now?
I would say that self-confidence.
So could you
Or
welcome, go ahead.
yeah.
Self-confidence or?
I'm not sure. I will say that self-confidence defines in a very good way what I will feel.
Well, so could you welcome self-confidence just for now and see what happens?
Okay.
And then welcome this feeling that we were working with. We're going to go back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
Welcome self-confidence.
Okay.
Welcome holding on.
Okay.
And then self-confidence.
Yeah.
And then holding on.
Okay.
And one more time, self-confidence.
Yeah.
And finally, the holding on.
Okay.
And let's just check. Is it the same as when we started, or has it loosened a little bit?
No, I would say that it has been released. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the
Okay.
same that at the beginning. It's different
Great.
now.
Is that
Definitely.
good?
Yeah.
Is that good for now?
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Now
Glad
I
to
know
meet you.
how I could release it by myself when it comes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Steven.
Very welcome. Okay. Indrani, I see that you got your hand up. What can we do?
Yeah. I have a question, Stephen, about
Yes.
the action steps. Because if it is not something material that I'm looking for, or as a goal that I've set a goal to have something material, like win the lottery or have 10,000 a month or have a house or whatever, then I find it very difficult to find action steps. I have only found 2 up to now. And one is behave as if though it all has happened. And the second one is just releasing on the goals.
Well, let me ask you, what is your goal statement?
It's a secret.
Oh, well, fine. Okay. That's okay
No,
too.
Stephen, come on. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Okay. I have 3 that I really am looking for. Anyway, the first one is I allow myself to be without expectations at the retreat in Peru and trust the universe.
Yeah.
That's one.
Sure. Do you mind if I criticize that one a little bit? You're talking.
Go ahead. That's why
Yeah,
I'm here. I want you to criticize, change,
there's a little bit of
help
a
me.
trap in there. So first of all, it's a little bit long, I have to say.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the mind seems to work better with shorter statements,
Mm-hmm.
in my
Yeah.
experience. And also it contains a negative. So I allow myself without expectations.
Yeah.
So basically the mind is not going to hear without, it just hears expectations.
Yeah. Okay.
So could you just read it again?
I
Or
allow
say,
myself to be at the retreat in Peru and trust the universe. I've left out without and expectations.
yeah, that actually works. It's
To be
the real
present,
question.
maybe. I allow myself to be present at the retreat in Peru and trust the universe.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I seem to have, although I know intellectually I shouldn't have any wants and expectations, blah, blah, blah. I am having them, Stephen. I'm just being honest with you. I just
I'm
have them.
just shocked.
And the other one I've written down is I allow myself to be open to receiving all gifts the universe has in store for me. That seems to be also long.
That's actually quite nice. I like that one.
Okay.
No, but, and by the way, I can also see why there would be no action steps connected with that.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do about that? The universe brings you gifts, what are you supposed to do?
Exactly. So I just thought, do I have to release on them then saying, okay, I don't know. I don't know how I would release idea. Just let it go. That the universe is going to bring me anything.
You're very correct. It's a good thing that you brought this up. There definitely are some goals that just don't have action steps, don't need action steps. Again, I allow the universe to bring me all the good things. What are you supposed to do about that? Get in the spaceship and travel the universe? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Was there one more goal statement then?
Yeah, there's the last one. I allow myself to be spiritually enlightened and be free of the sense of doership.
Okay. Again, that seems a little bit long, actually.
I know. They for me, the two are too long. The one with Peru is too long, and this one also.
How about I allow myself to be free?
Okay.
What else do you need to say about that?
Okay.
And again, what action steps would make sense? Not sure about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, simple would be better with that. I allow myself to be free would be good.
Okay.
I
Without
allow
the
myself
sense
to
of
enjoy freedom. You could say it that way.
Say it again, Stephen.
I allow myself to enjoy freedom.
Okay.
It's just a different way of saying it, you know.
Because the beginning of it is I allow myself to be spiritually enlightened and be free.
Yeah,
We
so
are never
spiritually
free,
enlightened.
are we? We are never free. We are still tied to this me.
I just want to say that spiritually enlightened is kind of a concept, don't you think?
I know, that's the thing.
Yeah. And it's people kind of get trapped in that, I think. Freedom. It's really to
Freedom,
enjoy
okay.
freedom. That's really it.
Okay.
Isn't that the essence of what you want?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, then just keep it simple. Let it be simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
I allow myself to be free.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And you said that the Peru statement was still a bit long. Would you like to
That
go
was
back
still
one
too
more?
long. I allow myself to be present at the retreat in Peru and trust the universe. See, I'm going for it.
So yeah. Why do you have to trust the universe? What's the feeling of that?
Because of my subconscious mind that's telling me expectations. Oh, maybe there are insights. Maybe you will get closer to God than you are now. Maybe. I see Stephen. Maybe I meet Stephen. God, all kinds of things. Your mind just goes on and on and on. And I'm just trying to get rid of all that. I just want to be a blank sheet of paper. I don't want it already scribbled.
So it's the wanting that's in the way, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I know it. That's why I'm trying to be present. Just be present there at first I said without expectations. So we took that out now. So I allowed myself to be present.
Well, so how about I allow myself to be present at the retreat in Peru and just leave it at that?
Without the trust of the universe.
Well, so here's the thing. That goal statement may stir things up. That's the whole point of it.
I allow myself to be present.
So if you do feel expectations, wonderful. Release those expectations with the goal statement. That's the entire point of the goal statement. It stirs that up for you.
Yeah.
And the same thing with trusting the universe. If you don't, then that gets stirred up anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, keep it simple and allow the goal statement to do its work. It will provoke. That's part of the point.
And I allow myself to be open to receiving all the gifts of the universe, all the gifts the universe has in store for me. It's also too long. Okay,
well, and here's another point. By the way, I know I'm just working one-on-one with Indrani, but I hope that everybody else is listening because these can be useful little tricks for everybody else as well to understand the goal statements. So one thing that you just said, this is extremely important. It has to feel right to you.
Yeah.
That's the most important. It has to feel appropriate. So yeah, I allow myself to receive all the gifts the universe has in store for me. Yeah, I agree that's long. How would we make that?
I could cut out be open. I could allow myself to receive. I don't need to be open.
Sure.
Just cut that out. Yeah, to receive. Okay. I allow myself.
I allow myself to receive all the gifts the universe wants to give.
Yeah.
Or has in store.
Yes, exactly.
I allow myself to receive all the gifts the universe has in store for me.
Yeah, that's much better.
And the
Bravo,
question
bravo.
really is, that feels right for you?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
That's
will
how you know.
behave as though it all happened and keep releasing on them anyway. These are my action steps.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
anyway
well-
receive gifts from the universe every day, to wake up in the morning, to see the sun shining, a bird flying, whatever. I mean, those are
Right.
all gifts eventually, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Okay.
I would also advise you,
Mhm.
it may also be useful just to focus on one, maybe two at a time. Sometimes we want to have a whole list of goals, and that can be a little bit more muddled if we're not careful.
Okay.
3 may be okay, but I think that's a little bit much. See what you think.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
then.
Mhm.
Is that good for now then?
Sure. Thank you ever so much for
Okay,
spending
glad
so
to
much
help.
time with me,
Yes.
dear. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay, good. I see somebody else has her hand up, the woman who has it all. Would you like to unmute?
Hi,
Glad to see you. How are you?
I'm good. So, I changed my goal statement a little bit. That's what I really wanted to say. I guess I'll put it in the group.
Sure.
It is now, I have, let me start again. I have $10,000 in my bank account by May 31st.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you a question. What if it came tomorrow? Would that be a problem?
No, that's what I'm saying, by. It could be
Aye,
before.
okay.
Should I say before? Should I say before or by? I didn't want to make it too complicated.
No, that's
So,
right. Yeah. Well, does that feel right to you? That's the whole point of it. Does it
yes.
feel right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, in that case, was there a question, or is that just you wanted to
No,
share?
I guess, yeah. No, I released a lot on it yesterday and, as we're going through
Okay.
today. So I don't have any action steps. That could be one thing. I don't have any big action steps regarding it. I just kind of want to receive it. I don't want to get involved in the how. I'm trying to
No, that's a
step away
possibility.
from the efforting and all that.
But
Unless
let me
something
just,
comes to me.
what would be the most outrageous thing that you could think of, just for fun, off the top of your head? Doesn't have to be realistic at all. Open the telephone book and find Steven Spielberg. Come on.
Yes, this is no more telephone books, but yes.
Oh, that shows you how old I am.
No more telephone books. There's no more yellow pages. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Or that would yes, that would require a step from me. Yes, I said, or I could just get a call tomorrow that I booked a national commercial, which actually almost happened last week. I was on a veil, so that could totally happen. The effort I took was just auditioning.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
I don't know. Put up a
So
sign on the corner and
I would invite you just to be playful with this, by the way. This is not
okay.
anything that requires seriousness. That's why I said Steven Spielberg. I mean, ridiculous, but why not? What the hell? And
Yeah.
that's why sometimes crazy ideas can actually be like, oh, that could actually lead you in some interesting directions. So
Yeah. Brought him up. Steven, come on. Maybe
yeah.
show up.
Steven, I happen to know Steven Spielberg if you want. Yeah.
His oh,
Great.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay. I see Catherine has written something. It's the sense
I'm
of
sorry.
generosity.
One other thing. I'm sorry. Are we also supposed to release the goal? Because I was working with somebody yesterday on the Sedona Method call in the evening. I can't remember her name right now. And she says you also have to release the goal, to let go of the goal. Is that?
Well, so yeah, there's a couple pieces to that. One is the wanting of it. Would you rather want it or would you rather have it?
Have it.
Of course, yeah. So letting go of wanting it is an important part of it. The other part is the sense of I have to do it. So letting go of the goal and allowing the power that knows the way to take care of it is the sense I think she's talking about. It's not
Mhm.
saying that it's, it's not going to happen. It's
Mhm.
more like it's out of my hands.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you have a sense of that? Yeah, I can hear the
Right.
uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Sure,
so much.
sure.
All right.
Of
Sorry
course,
to
yeah.
interrupt.
Not at all. Great. And yeah, I'm looking and I see that Catherine Keating had something to say. Is she still on the call? Didn't see that part. Okay. It's just the sense of generosity is a lovely positive feeling which deepens the release. And you have an action step as a goal. Actually, you got me curious. Catherine, would you like to speak about that? Not necessary if you don't want to, by the way, but I'm inviting you. Oh, and you cannot put your hand up? Yes? Well, then you can unmute. That's okay too. Are you able to unmute? Oh, I see. Well, I don't know what to say about that. Folks, I think we've reached the end of the hour. It looks like to me. Unless anybody... Oh, hello? Did I hear something? No. No? Okay, I thought I did. Good. Well, I thank you all for participating. I'm going to post the link to the recording when it's done. And Indrani, you and I can communicate on WhatsApp if you'd like to about how to find things. I'm happy to help.
I managed to unmute.
Oh, perfect. Come on. Bring it on. Sure.
So basically the goal that I put in the forum was that I wanted to become an expert in OET so that I can help refugees work in the National Health Service. And I realized that wanting to become an expert in the occupational English test is just it's an action step.
Okay.
And the goal is that I want to actually help refugees work in the NHS. And so I've got the action step and the goal in the goal statement, which makes it too long. So yeah.
So yeah, I can say that one issue we had with this last week, it just kind of happened spontaneously. But this coming Saturday, I'm actually going to spend a little bit of time, if I can, with troubleshooting the goal statements. I didn't get around to doing that with everybody, but I think that, yeah, actually we can do that, troubleshooting on the forum. This is for everybody who needs to know. I'd like to make sure that, that everybody understands how the goal statements work and we all feel satisfied with our goal statements. But that's a good insight, and I'm glad that you came up with that. And we can modify that on Saturday and then boop, back to work again. By the way, would anybody like to share their experiences with releasing and visualizing other people's goals? Because I found it to be a fascinating.
I would, because
Please.
It's incredibly relaxing to release on other people's goals with that sense of generosity. And when you release on your own goals, there's a stake there's something at stake, and there's a wanting and a kind of needing and a wanting. When you release on other people's goals, you release much more. I find I release much more deeply if I'm helping somebody else than if I do it for myself. But that release is enough. Anyway, that's what I want to do. I want to release rather than anything else. So I just found it incredibly beautiful to sit down for 10 minutes and go through the list and just release and release and release with a sense of wanting something for somebody else.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was a really nice experience. I've done it 2 days running. It's a really nice experience.
Keep it up. I'm doing it too. I enjoy it myself. Yeah. Yeah. There's.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I heard
for
Eric.
me, hey, how's it going?
Go ahead.
Great call. Thanks for running this whole goals thing. This is really rewarding. And for me, it's been like when I work on someone else's project, there's no resistance. Like if I'm ever over someone's house and they have like a list of stuff or they need help with certain things, for example, if they're hosting me, it's a lot easier for me to just get in and just, all right, let's just knock this out real quick. Because it's not my stuff, it's their stuff. So like similar to these goals, and plus the gratitude, which is just a great extra piece to it. Just being able to visualize for someone else. I don't have any stuff around it because like I would love for them to get it, but there's no like how do I explain it? Like, there's no pushing or attachment. Yeah. So this is cool. I think this is a cool idea. I'm really happy we're doing this. So thanks.
Me too, actually. Yeah, that's great. Well, guys, I guess that's it. We can all unmute and say goodbye if you'd like to. How about that?
Bye-bye, Stephen. Thank you ever so
Goodbye.
much.
Thank you very much.
Good.
See ya.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you,
you
guys.
again.
Bye.
Bye.
Then.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. Going to go ahead and